Welcome back to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton. My name is Connor Williams, joined by Paul McAllister, and this is the match preview for the Brighton Everton game. First of all, Paul, thoughts going into the game?
Uh, it's I don't know. We won't know whether it's a must win or not until we know what's going on with the points situation, the appeal. Because by the time this video comes out, it's very possible that we've heard the news and we know what we're dealing with the rest of the season. But as of Wednesday night when we're recording this, it hasn't come out yet. It's Tuesday night, sorry. We don't know whether we're getting any points back. If we are, how many? Um, if we get, for me, 6 points or more back, then I don't think this is necessarily a must win. But if we only end up getting one or two or three or possibly none, then it is an absolute must win because we'll stay in the bottom three. And you're looking at it and you think, where are Everton going to get where are Everton going to get points from? We're running out of games to get points from. I know there's still quite a bit of the season left to go, but we're more than halfway now, and we've still got a lot of big teams to play away from home. And would you fancy Everton in our current predicament to go to those teams, to go away to go away to Old Trafford and get a result? Would you fancy Everton to go away to, who else we got to play? Still, Man City at home, have we got to play?
Yeah, still got the derby thrown in at some point as
Yeah,
well when they
we've
can
got the
fit it in.
derby as well. We've got that. I think we've got Aston Villa at some point who are going to come. All these teams which are having really good seasons and look like they've got really strong sides who just don't fancy ever getting anything against. We're going to have to pick the points up somewhere. And if we don't get them back through the appeal, we've got to just find ways to go to these grounds and snatch results like we did at Brighton last season. But yeah, I'm very, very nervous about this game because Brighton are just one of those teams where we could win 3-0 or get trounced 5-0 and neither would surprise you.
Yeah, I was just looking at recent form. Obviously, the 4-0 Luton that they lost stands out, but other than that, they beat Sheffield United 5-2, beat Palace 4-1, and then beat Sheffield United again 5-0. In the last like five, they've only lost to Tottenham, which was 2-1, which is a decent result against Tottenham. And obviously Luton being the shock one, but I feel like this Brighton team under De Zerbi have at least one of those shock defeats a season. We were obviously at last season. Luton were at this season. I think to be honest, the key is to lay off them a little bit with their whole game is to press and draw you out. Sorry, is to draw you out into the press. So laying back, letting them come at you, and then hitting them on the break like we did last year might be the move. But I mean, they are. I think people also might have last year's result in their head, and might be forgetting this is a very good team, isn't it?
Yeah, they are at their cracking sides. They're obviously got Europe this season, so they haven't been quite as good domestically because obviously I think it's their first ever run in Europe, or if it is, it's their first run in God knows how long. So they're putting a lot of importance on their Europa League run. But they're still, as you said, a very good side. They're not one of these sides that will go down, that will go and often go to another place and get absolutely smacked 5 or 6-0. They're not Crystal Palace. They're not an Everton. I wouldn't even think you wouldn't. They're not going to go to teams and just get completely embarrassed. Doesn't seem like that often. Even games where they lose and they lose handsomely, like they did against us, that had a lot of shock value to it. They had far more chances in that game than we did. We were just very clinical. But they're a great side. De Zerbi's probably destined for bigger things in the long run. Who knows where he'll end up because there's a lot of big managerial vacancies going to be available this summer, and his name will probably be on a lot of club shortlists. But Brighton, I think, they're a very tidy side, and they're going to be wise to us now. We pulled that trick that we used last season of sitting in and hitting them on the break, and doesn't mean that it definitely can't work again. But I think if De Zerbi's the manager that a lot of people think he is, I think he'll be looking at this game thinking that's one I want to put right there. He'll be really fired up to kind of get us back because he'll have been embarrassed. The Brighton players will have been embarrassed. The Brighton fans will remember that game in their minds because it was just such a heavy shock defeat to them. They'll be looking at us thinking, right, next time they come to town, as in Everton, we're gonna stuff them. We're gonna make up for that last time. So I'm worried about this. I think we have got players who can hurt them, but I worry if we go 1-0 down, are they just going to find it too easy to rip us open? Are we going to have to come, obviously be a bit more flexible in our shape. And if you do that, you're just inviting on their press, and they're so good at pressing that if you go 1-0 down, I could easily see us being 3-0 down by half time. They're just one of those sides that will have a 10-minute spell where just everything, the it goes in for them.
Yeah, I agree. And despite us having more grit this season, we still do have that Everton touch of once one goes in, like with City, we do tend to find it takes the players a good 10 minutes to get their heads back in it before they can play again. Otherwise, you can easily concede 1 or 2 in the space of 13 minutes. Do you think we will set up the same as we did last year? Same sort of method?
Um, yeah, I, yeah. If it worked last time, I don't see anything that we could do that's drastically different that I'd be more confident would work. I don't think we should be looking to play through them, because if we do that, we're going to get smashed. So Sean Dyche, for all the criticism I got, I don't think he's the type of manager who will. He doesn't tinker for tinker's sake, does he? If he's got a formula that he thinks works and has worked once before, he's going to stick with it, isn't he? So I think if we're just going to do it's Decore off Calvert-Lewin. It's going to be obviously Onana and Gay in midfield, providing both are fit, and probably James Garner as well. It's just you wonder what's going to be the situation out wide. Are we going to is he going to stick with Brian Godfrey at right back? Is he going to bring Seamus Coleman in if Seamus Coleman's fit? Is he going to go back to Ashley Young at right back? I don't think he'll try Nathan Patterson. I think he's made his mind up on Nathan Patterson. But yeah, it's last season all of our goals came from, I think it came from out wide, didn't it? If I remember correctly, McNeil got 2. I think did Decore get 2 where they were just we just broke on them and it was a cross into the box and he got on the end of it. So
Yeah, yeah,
we're going to need strength out wide in order to get up the pitch quickly if we're going to effectively counter them. And if you're going to, that means you can't be using Ashley Young as a right-sided forward. It probably means that you can't use James Garner out there, which I hope he doesn't do. He's done that too many times this season. So I hope it's going to be McNeil and it's going to be Jack Harrison back in, because Jack Harrison can frustrate at times. But I think if there's a side where Jack Harrison is going to be able to show his strength, it'll be against Brighton when we're sitting in our shape and we're having to break quickly, because one thing Jack Harrison has definitely got is pace and directness. So yeah, I think the team just kind of writes itself really, the ones you'd expect. We can't have anyone who's going to be a bit of a slouch on the ball. We can't have players who limited in terms of what they can do when they've got the ball. And just play people in the natural position. I understand sometimes your hand's forced and you've just got to play players to plug a gap. But we've got players who are fit enough to play in their natural position to make up an 11. Just play everyone where they're meant to be. Play a right back at right back. Play a left back at left back. Play a right winger at right wing. Play a centre mid at centre mid. That's all we're asking for. And if we do that, there's always a chance we're going to pull something out like we did last season.
yeah. I agree. So who do you think? Obviously, you mentioned Harrison. Probably is it? Do you reckon he's our most key player for this game?
It'll be him, and it'll be maybe Calvert Lewin, because Calvert Lewin, I don't know, I don't think he scored last year against Brighton, but he set up. He was crucial in at least 3 of the goals, wasn't he? Because he was the
Yeah,
focal point. He was the outball basically, and if you haven't got an outball against Brighton, you're not going to be able to counter them. So it's going to be Calvert Lewin. We need Calvert Lewin to have the sort of game that he's just had against Palace, where he's going up for every header. He's winning almost all of them, if not all of them. He's covering. He's running the channels when he needs to. He's being the link between the by players where if we want to switch the play sort of thing quickly. So Calvert Lewin needs to have a really effective game, and the wide players either side of him need to get forward and give them adequate support, because if they don't, then I think our only chance of getting a goal is maybe something from a set piece. And I saw a crazy stat. I mentioned this. I haven't about our last 7, 8 goals all come from set pieces, something like that.
something like that. Yeah, I know. I know people like to mention RXG, but I swear I saw somebody the other day separate it between like set piece XG and like open play, and
Yeah,
set pieces
I can't
make
even
up a
remember
lot
when
of
our
it.
last goal open play was. Who was against? Was it against Burnley?
I think so. Yeah, it got to the point now, mate. Every corner feels like a free kick in a day. I'd rather a corner than a free kick. The way we bounce off the corners. Um,
Yes.
I started celebrating corners, which is absolutely mental. Who do you think will cause us the most trouble in their squad? Obviously, got a couple of good players, Matoma.
Yeah, Matoma stands out. So does the lad they've got on loan from Barcelona, Fatty. I'm shocked
Yeah,
they even got him. I can't believe Barcelona loaned him out. I don't know whether he had fallen out with Javi or what, but a year and a half ago, he was getting touted as, a wonder kid, Barcelona's, shining light for the future. I don't know why they loaned him out. He would have got plenty of game time at Barca, you'd think. But he's very direct. He can hurt you. I can imagine he's licking his lips if he gets to go up against the likes of Ashley Young or maybe Ben Godfrey, players who are just have a very slow or just lack concentration and are very rocky. So there's Fatty, there's Matoma, um, the Lewis Dunk's a big lad at the back. You
yeah,
wouldn't rule out them getting a goal off a set piece through him. He can. It's a free kick as well. They're just a very well balanced side. They haven't got any out and out whale beaters. Maybe they've got players who are young who could then go on to be whale beaters, but they haven't got players who you think, yeah, that lad will go for 70, 80 million in the next transfer window. But they're just a very well coached side. They've got a manager who's really tidy, who goes about his business low key. They've got a lot of really good players who do the same. They've got they're the model club, aren't they, in terms of just doing your business effectively and without drama. And they're getting their just rewards. They're having a run in Europe. Everyone seems to enjoy watching them. Young, exciting players from around Europe want to go and join them, as evidenced by Fatty at Barca. Even if Barcelona had said, we want you to go out on loan, if Brighton 3 years ago had come in and asked for him, I'm sure he'd turn around and he'd go, Brighton? Who are Brighton? I don't want to go play there. I don't want to go play under Chris Houghton, whatever it was, who was there a couple of years ago. But he's obviously watched them and saw their style of play and saw the manager's work and thought, okay, if I can't play at Barcelona this season, then I'll go there for a good year just to get my head down and learn new things and enjoy new experiences. And it seems like it's been a really good decision for him. So yeah, there's so much to admire about them as a club.
yeah, yeah. Outside of like us, I really enjoy watching them play as a neutral. That Valentin Barco as well. I think he picked them over City. Obviously game time will have came into that, but I think he picked to play for them over City. Um, Finally, what's your score prediction then? It's gonna be tough, but our away form has been decent this year.
I'm gonna. We really could do with a win. We really need a win just to not only to obviously lift ourselves in the table. We just need to lift the mood around the club because obviously all this dragging on with the ownership and the fact that we've gone months without winning and we've had little injury problems here and there. It feels like just a win, not even the points, just the feeling of a win. Going in on to work on a Monday, knowing that you watched Everton get a good result the weekend, it just feels like it would give everyone a big lift. It would lift the players, it would lift the atmosphere, it would certainly lift the fan base. Even though there's still going to be a lot more work to do for us to get ourselves out of this mess. We need loads more wins, but it just seems like we need something to go right for us. We need. I kind of think Everton's situation is microcosmed in Calvert-Lewin, where we're not doing anything horrifically badly. We're doing a lot of the right things still. We're staying in games. We're competing. The fans are getting right behind them. But we need a little bit of luck. If the ball just goes in off Calvert-Lewin's ass, then I think it'll see his confidence soar. And I just think if we get a good result somewhere, a win, Everton will get back to kind of just puffing our chests out a little bit. It will lift the fan base. It will make everyone think, right, we can go to the well again. We can puff our chests out and we can drag this over the line again. Because the longer that we go without a win, the more people just get that feeling of resignation, thinking it's just not going to happen for us this time. We just might as well accept it now, months out that we're going. So I'm going to go for a score of, I want us to win. I think it's going to be 2-2. I don't think we're going to keep a clean sheet this time, but I do think we'll manage to score a goal, at least one goal. I can see us maybe taking the lead at one point and then maybe Brighton pegging us back and then maybe we equalise ourselves. But I'm going to go for a 2-2, even though I'd love a draw. I just think Brighton are not we're not going to get as lucky as we did last season at Brighton. Lucky is not the right word, but I just don't think as much is going to go our way as it did last season. I think we're going to compete in the game and stay in it, and we'll grind out a point, which is what we seem to do a lot of the time. But I don't think we're going to win unless we just get that little bit of luck, which we haven't had in it a while.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think it'll be a draw. I'm just gonna go with 1-1 myself. I feel like if I could pick, I'd love Calvert-Lewin to get the goal as well. I think he needs I know I know it's common to say strikers need goals, but I think he needs it for his confidence. And then if it helps him bounce on from that, even if it take a draw here and he bounces on and goes on a bit of a run, that's I'll take that. But that is all we've got time for. Thanks for coming on and joining me, mate. It's been a pleasure.
No worries, mate. Let's just hope that we can finally get a result somewhere because it just feels grim at the minute, doesn't it? But the grimness has got to end somewhere. So hopefully this Saturday.
Yeah, it's bleak at the bottom. Don't forget, guys, to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're not already, and comment down below your score predictions. We look forward to reading them, and we'll see you soon.